Shalom and welcome to this edition of Revealing the Truth, where we cover the headlines, the heartlines, and biblical truth. I'm your host, the Reverend Rabbi Eric Walker. You know, sleep is something that we take for granted. For some, we're great sleepers. For others, you wrestle with sleep. For some who just don't pay any attention to their sleep patterns, and it winds up causing them to be grumpy, causes them to be prone to illness, causes them to miss out on an incredible gift from God. Well, our next guest, who is a regular contributor here, she is the host of the Sleep Project, Better Nights for Better Days, found here on the last Monday of every month at 12 o'clock. We're talking about Faith Blatchford, author of Winning the Battle for the Night, God's Plan for Sleep. Dreams and Revelations, Faith is a founder and president of Age to Come, a nonprofit organization. She's an ordained minister, a graduate of Vassar College with a BA in religion. She travels across the United States and abroad speaking in churches, schools, and conferences, an author as well as a producer of instrumental soaking CDs. Her goal is to be a catalyst for radical life-changing encounters with the presence of God, whether through preaching, teaching, prophesying, counseling, and coaching or impartation. And here to talk about sleep, and especially sleep in the new year, is our regular host of this hour, the Sleep Project, Better Nights for Better Days, Faith Blatchford, who can be found at faithblatchford.com. Faith, welcome to Revealing the Truth, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Can't
believe it's almost February 1st.
It's just incredible to me that time keeps moving on. We'll be doing our May trip to Israel. So we'll be down for a couple of weeks while we do that. We're already planned and halfway sold out of our 2020 Israel trip, and it just things just keep moving, marching forward faster. I turned 67 a couple of weeks ago, and it seems like I was just 16 the last time I checked.
Right.
So time keeps marching on.
It does. It absolutely does.
So Faith, you know, we have a new year, and people always embrace the new year with traditions. They have, in the South, it's black-eyed peas. In other parts of the country, they have their own traditions. But one of the traditions that most people have is setting goals and New Year's resolutions. I think gym memberships go up in the month of January. People start diets in the month of January. They go to, they actually use the gift. They say, what do you want for Christmas or the holidays? Well, I want a juicer because I'm going to become a juicer. I'm going to become somebody that's increased my vegetable intake, and I want to eat healthy and I want to live right. And 3 months down the road, the juicer is in the drawer. The exercise cycle or the what do they call it? The treadmill is now a place you hang clothes on, and all those things get set aside. But the one thing that nobody talks about, I've never heard anybody talk about, is that in this coming year I'm going to sleep better, or I'm going to pay attention to my sleep patterns. And you've come up with a great thought that the new year is a good time to do a sleep reset. What does that mean? What does that entail?
Well, you know, and as you said, we don't usually think of it. I mean, I can remember years and years and years of setting goals for myself, and some that you mentioned. And on my list of goals, never was there a goal to get more sleep or better sleep. I mean, it wasn't in the equation. And I think some of the goals that we set actually hinder our sleep because we put ourselves on this routine that, you know, is impossible to ever fulfill. You know, I read this article recently, and it said, talk to God about your New Year's resolutions. And I thought, well, that is really good advice, because so many of our goals, maybe some of them are from God, but some of them I don't think are from God. And the end result is that we are become so exhausted and so in such a tight routine that we're not getting enough sleep. And there are statistics that say that only 8% of the people who set goals actually reach them. That is a very sad commentary. And I don't mean to make people feel discouraged before they even start, because 8% isn't much. And there's no study that's been done. But my question is, would there be more people fulfilling their New Year's goals if they had sleep as one of their goals? Because I think the sleep part of the goal success has been totally ignored.
Well, I think you're right. I think that when people put their heads on the pillow and they go through that list, that long, lengthy list of New Year's resolutions, they do an inventory of what did I accomplish today, and they wind up being in disappointment. They wind up feeling dejected, which is not setting the stage for an environment which is going to encourage good sleep. As a matter of fact, it reactivates the mind. It releases anxiety endorphins, which then cause you to have a sleep anxiety, and it becomes a vicious cycle. Years ago, when I was a corporate executive, we brought Danny Cox in to talk about time management. Danny Cox, most people don't know his name, but he's very famous in the aviation world. He was a test pilot, and he was the first to fly the 747. So imagine Boeing rolling a plane off that nobody's ever flown, and he's the first one. You don't know if it's going to succeed or fail. And Danny Cox was exactly 5 feet 0 inches tall, which was for the military, because he was a military test pilot, was the exact minimum height. He was exactly the minimum height. And he had a very distinguished career as a test pilot and then as a motivational speaker. And he wrote a book on time management. And he said the people who have to-do lists, that he thinks it's foolishness because everything should be numbered number 1. If it's important enough to make it on the list, it's important enough to become your new number 1. So when you accomplish number 1, it doesn't become now go to number 2, it becomes your new number 1. And so he summed it up this way. He said, if you have to swallow a bowl of frogs, which come into your life and you have things you have to do, you might as well swallow the biggest one first. That makes it easier for the others to go down. Well, I've been a person that doesn't have to-do lists, because if I don't feel it's important enough to do right away, an email to respond to and answer right away, a text message to respond to right away. Certainly during the show there's messages left, but I will call them back, each and every one of them, right away, because I don't want things hanging over me, because unfinished business is something that is troublesome to me. I find it disrespectful. I find it to be something that lingers, haunts you, reminds you. You look at things, it's undone. People look at my home and they say, well, you kind of live kind of a minimalist. Well, no, I have exactly what I need. I don't have extra. I don't have 37 place settings of flatware. I don't have 37 place settings of glasses. I have 8 glasses. I have, you know, the way they came in the box is the way I bought them, and I put them on the shelf.
Right.
I don't need more than that. I can only drink out of 1 glass at one time. So my daughter thinks I'm a minimalist. I think I'm just somebody that lives within my means. I have what I need, and I don't really, and because I have what I need, I don't have wants. And so it makes it easier for me if I don't have to-do list, if I don't have a bunch of unrealistic goals. Makes sleep easier for me because I'm somebody that's shared with you before. I don't have sleep problems. I power nap every day, and when I put my head on the pillow at the appointed time, I go to sleep. That's what I set my bedroom up to do, is to become a place of sleep, not a place to read a book, not a place to watch television, not a place to listen to music, not a place to play with the dog. It's a place I go to sleep. Maybe that makes me old-fashioned, maybe that makes me too regimented, but that is my sanctuary. That's the place I go, and when I crawl into the bed, it is for the purpose of going to sleep.
Well, the good thing about making sleep one of our goals in the new year, improving the quality and quantity, is that it's one of God's goals. And He's the one that wired us for sleep. So if we make that a goal, we have the assurance that He's going to help us. And some of our other goals may not be His goal for us, and so we're kind of on our own. But sleep, we're absolutely in sync with what God's will is for us. So I think deciding, one, to make sleep a goal in the new year is important, and then to do an assessment. Am I getting enough sleep? And some people don't know. So there are many sleep assessments out there. One of them, you could go to the sleepproject.org website and go to the blog section, and there's a very quick and easy sleep assessment, which is kind of fun to do. See how you're doing in terms of your sleep, and then go from there. If you're fine, you're getting enough sleep, you're good to go. Just keep sleep as a number one priority. The other thing I think we kind of forget about sometimes is a sleep reboot for our kids. Most parents start out in August preparing for the school year, which starts the end of August, 1st of September, depending on where you live. And built into that preparation usually is setting a bedtime, setting how much TV, setting all these routines for our kids. But as the year starts and gets busier and busier, and there's sports and there's events, and then there are holidays, starting with Halloween and then Thanksgiving, and the sugar increases. By December, most kids are exhausted, as are their parents, and all the routines have gone out the window. And so the new year, starting that sleep reboot for your kids, is as important as the one for you, because kids without enough sleep, it will impact their academic performance, athletic performance, their crankiness, all those things that are just an added burden for a parent. So do yourself a favor and take a look at your children's sleep habits, routine, how are they sleeping? And as a family, put the new sleep goal at the top of the list, and it will make a big difference for everybody.
I'm looking at the sleepproject.org page, and there's a couple of salient facts that I think are very important. 2/3 of the American population do not get enough sleep. The symptoms of sleep deprivation begin after being awake for 17 hours. According to Dr. Matthew Parker of UC Berkeley, sleep is the single most effective thing you can do to reset your brain and body. This is an amazing, first of all, it's free. Mm-hmm. So if I can heal for free, if I can give myself a gift for free, if I don't have to do anything but lay down and pass out, drift off into unconsciousness, and it doesn't cost me a penny to do it, then why would I not want to give myself this incredible healing gift? It builds our immune system. The studies that have been done as to what the body processes, filters, regenerates, the brain activity, the synapses, the amount of time God spends speaking to us during the sleep time, yet it says it's costing the United States $411 billion just to be able to get some sleep. That's startling.
Yes. It is. And it's so not only free but simple. We're not dependent on anybody else to make these changes. We don't need Jenny Craig, or we don't need anybody, gym instructor. I just make the decision, and God is going to help me. But part of the sleep reboot, it may mean some changes in our choices and how what we eat, what we drink before we go to bed. I think coffee is the new drug of choice. And I drink coffee, so I'm not just throwing stones. But I think it has become so much a part of our life for people to stay awake and we know if you remove caffeine, so many people get a headache because they don't have their caffeine. So assessing how late am I drinking coffee. Some people, I have friends, they can drink coffee 8 o'clock at night and they have no trouble sleeping. But the majority of people, that's not the case. So you have to assess your own tolerance for caffeine and have a cutoff point so that your enjoyment of that cup of joe doesn't rob you of quality and quantity of sleep. So there's the caffeine. There's also sugar and carbs, which is a bigger issue when it comes to our children, because both of them are stimulants. They wake us up. They give us a buzz. And for kids, you don't want them buzzing at 10 o'clock at night. You want them snoring at 10 o'clock at night. And then there's the whole issue of exercise, which we think, yeah, but exercise, we got to exercise. Yes, it's part of our routine, our goals for the year, but when we exercise is the key. And if you leave your strenuous exercise for 8 or 9 o'clock at night, it's possible. Now, not everybody, but the majority of people will be stimulated by strenuous exercise because it produces the chemical in our body that gives us energy and momentum, and it is going to be have a dampening effect on the melatonin that our body is trying to produce at night, release at night to help us sleep. So when you exercise is important, and it shouldn't be right before you go to bed. And then third item on our checklist is the whole social media. And social media has become more and more and more. That is our connection. That's how we find out what everybody's doing. But I don't know about y'all, but I've thought, I don't know if I'm going to fast social media, but it seems more and more and more social media is the place where everybody, they put their prayer requests, but I have pictures of people, in a hospital bed dying or on life support. Now, if I look at that at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, right before I'm going to bed, I don't know, but maybe I have a lower threshold, but I can't turn that off and that image. And it may be for you see your friends all at a party and you weren't invited. We can protect ourselves from this emotional roller coaster through our connection with social media. And so your children, it's the same thing. They're going to see their friends at a party and they weren't invited. So cutting off our exposure to social media at an earlier point in the day, in the evening, is going to help our sleep, as well as the whole light issue, because all these devices are emitting a blue light that wakes us up. Our eye is sensitized to that light and it wakes us up. Now, some devices have a kind of setting, a night shift setting that will reduce those blue lights and emit a red light that is easier on us. But regardless, the whole social media, emotionally and mentally, it's a wake up rather than a bringing you into a place of peace.
People laugh at me, Faith, because every year I go to Israel, I take a roll of electrical tape and I take binder clips with me. And they're always packed in my kit bag, which I have for Israel. I don't have to remember. It's always there. And I take little strips of black electrical tape and I put them over the light on the TV set. I put them over the light on the thermostat. I put them over the light on the fire, on the smoke detector. All these little lights are what my eyes are drawn to. I take binder clips and I take the curtains and I clip them together so that I have cut out all light, because I am a person that's completely, when you talk about circadian clock, I actually had to have recently, I found up that I was waking up at 4:30, 4:37, 4:39, 4:41, 4:45, and I looked at the sunrise times, and here it is, 4:37, 4:39, 4:41. I had somebody come in and tint my bedroom windows and tint my bathroom window, because to cut down on the light that was coming through, even emitting through the light, the room darkening. It wasn't my bedroom, it was the bathroom adjacent to my bedroom with the large big window over the garden tub that was letting the light in. That's what was waking me up. So I had to have somebody come in and tint that window so that it would cut down on the amount of light. So I'm one of those people that really recognizes and understands, even to the point, I used to use stickers, buy those little round stickers and just leave them, but the lights still seem to make it through. The only thing that works is electrical tape, so I travel with a small travel roll of electrical tape. People laugh at me and say, did you bring your binder clips? Did you bring your electrical tape? Yep, they're right here. And I go through, and the minute I walk in the room, before I unpack, I do my complete light inventory, so that when we come back from touring and we get ready after dinner, I can clean up and go to bed and know that I don't have to, my eyes aren't going to be drawn to that little green light that's up on the wall. That I have to make myself conscious of. Don't look at the green light. Don't look at the, turn. So I have my solution to that, and that is a part of my travel bag. We're talking with Faith Blatchford, who is the host of this hour right here on the Igniting Nation Broadcast Network. It's entitled The Sleep Project, Better Nights for Better Days. She's the author of Winning the Battle for the Night, God's Plan for Sleep, Dreams, and Revelation. You can find more about her at faithblatchford.com. We're going to take a short break, and we're going to continue to go through a list of things that impact what we should be doing in this new year to give ourselves a sleep reset, a free gift that you can give to yourself that can change your life. It can change your immune system. It can change whether or not you have a spring cold, whether or not you have allergies. There are so many things involved, including your pillows and your bedding. I was share this with you, Faith, that I bought new pillows for my bed. I'd read that you should change them out every couple of years. I hadn't really done that, so I bought some new pillows. I like feather down pillows, so I got them. And I got them, I unpacked them, I let them air out for a while, then I put them on the bed. And I found that the side that I was sleeping on, that I was getting a little breakout on my face. And it never occurred to me to wash the pillow. Now, I don't buy clothes and put them on. I wash the clothes before. It never occurred to me to wash the pillow before I put it on my bed. I think it's great sound advice to anybody to wash all of their bedding, whether or not it comes out of a beautiful package. Wash all your bedding before you put it on your bed. That's just one little free tip before we go to break. But we'll be right back with Faith Blatchford, and we'll go over some of the other things you can do in this sleep reset for this 2019 year. We'll be right back. Not everything that makes the headlines has biblical importance, but many events that happen around the world do, and you never hear about them. Igniting a Nation is pleased to teach Revealing Prophecy every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. at the Marriott 280 in Birmingham. We will cover worldwide events and insider information that will connect the dots of what's happening around the world with biblical prophecy. If you happen to miss a class, we'll televise each week's class at 10 o'clock Central Time on ignitinganation.com and all our social media outlets. Copies of the teachings will also be available to purchase on our website at www.ignitinganation.com. The Lord meets you right where you are, and so does Igniting a Nation's new live streaming outlets. You can now watch Revealing the Truth, Revealing the Bible, and Prophecy Revealed simulcast live each Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Vimeo, Periscope, and through our website, www.ignitinganation.com. No matter what device you are using, our program will automatically scale so you won't have to miss a single program. And if you happen to miss an episode, you can always subscribe to the Igniting a Nation YouTube channel and access over 1,000 interviews and never miss your favorite authors, special guests, and topics that interest you the most.
There are lots of ways to see Israel, but nothing compares to seeing the land of the book and the people of the book through the eyes of two Jewish believers who can take you on a journey that will bring the entire Bible to life. When you join Rabbi Eric Walker and his #1 rated tour guide, Edo Canaan, in Israel, you'll experience incredible teachings, first-class accommodations, and actually walk where Jesus walked. You will experience the Bible transforming from black and white into living color, and you will never see the Bible in the same way again. For more information, visit us at www.ignitinganation.com/events.
The Lord contends with what contends with you, and Igniting a Nation is committed to bringing to light each and every issue that faces a believer's life. Our live stream programming and teachings take you on a journey to finding biblical truth from a wide variety of experts who share their insights into a deeper walk with the Lord. We have assembled the most comprehensive panel of experts in the fields of prophecy, caregiving, healing from trauma, shame, and abuse, and so much more. We continue to expand our teachings and programming to meet your needs. We're committed to healing the nations with biblical truth. Visit www.ignitinganation.com to develop a deeper walk with the Lord and start your journey to a transformed life. The Bible commands us to study to show ourselves approved, but most study using Bible study tools and not actually studying the Bible chapter and verse. Igniting a Nation is pleased to present Revealing the Bible, recorded and taught each week before a live audience. We take you deeper into the actual Bible and verse in both Hebrew and English and connect the dots between the Old and New Testament. You can attend our 2 classes in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, or watch the program every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time on ignitinganation.com and all our other simulcast outlets. For more information, visit www.ignitinganation.com/events. Shalom and welcome back to this edition of Revealing the Truth, where we cover the headlines, the heartlines, and biblical truth. I'm your host, the Reverend Rabbi Eric Walker, welcoming you into this special hour called The Sleep Project, Better Nights for Better Days, hosted by our good friend Faith Blatchford, award-winning author of Winning the Battle for the Night, God's Plan for Sleep, Dreams, and Revelation. Faith, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Eric.
Faith,
always a pleasure.
Faith, we've been talking about a checklist, practical things we can do that in this 2019 sleep reset, taking all these lists that we have and saying, you know what, all these other things I can impact during my day, but these things may be harmful to my night. So if I put my night first and then I begin to reorder, maybe I'll feel better and I'll be able to actually accomplish some of the things that I have on my to-do list that I have for my resolution. So we've talked about some practical aspects, food and drink that hinders sleep, exercise and the timing of it, social media exposure before bed. I know a lot of people that watch TV in bed. The TV is a big part of their bedroom furniture. I don't have a television in my bedroom. I don't think that that's the place to watch TV, but that's my personal opinion. And as a single person, I can make that decision myself without anybody saying to me, no, that's where I like to watch my show.
Mm-hmm. Well, I used to have a TV in my bedroom, and then this was a number of years ago, and when we had to get a cable box, I just couldn't get it hooked up, and I don't know if it was operator error or it was just God deciding, okay, you're watching TV and bed days are over. So I just, I didn't bother anymore. But I used to watch, crime TV shows, Law and Order, those type of things at night, I mean, and if I couldn't sleep, I just watched the next one. And I don't know the impact that it had mentally or emotionally. I just know I never slept very much until God really convicted me about 10 years ago. So for both from the aspect of the light that's emitted from the TV screen, there's no night shift. There's no way to change the light that's coming from that TV. And the light is a wake-up call to your internal circadian clock. Your eyes see that light and there's wake up, wake up. And the other aspect of it is just some of the emotional stress, anxiety. I have friends who also have TVs in their bedroom, and they talk about, oh my gosh, I waked up and 4 in the morning and the TV was on and I felt my heart racing. Well, what was on the TV? And so when we have this idea, well, I'll just fall asleep watching TV, you may, but what is going on emotionally, mentally? Because there's a scripture, Song of Solomon, it says, though I sleep, my heart is awake. And I don't know how much of the fear, tension, anxiety, stress that's being released from that TV show is impacting our emotions. They ought to do a study, and hook people's brain up to electrodes and see what goes on in the brain if I'm asleep, but I have a TV on with some of this stuff. So do yourself a favor and don't go to sleep with the TV on. And for some people, that would be a huge change in how they go to bed. It was for me. But the result of it is probably going to be worth it. The other checklist that we do is the atmosphere in the bedroom. And for some people, I have friends who are just always cold. And so when I say, your bedroom temperature at night should be somewhere 63 to 68, and they look at me like, you are crazy. But if you are cold, a cold person, wear, warm pajamas and socks and all that, but keep the room temperature in the mid to low 60s. I mean, think of this. It'll save you on your heating bill, at least in the winter, because our bodies need that lower temperature to get optimum sleep. I don't know why, but that's just how we're designed. And along with that is just the whole atmosphere in the bedroom of blocking out the light. You can get, your electrical tape and block out lights, or you can get blackout curtains. I have blackout curtains, and no matter what, it's dark in that room. And the sounds, if you have noisy neighbors, if you have sounds going on outside and in your neighborhood, find a way to block out the sound. Sound machines, sound apps on phones, and although we're trying to get the phone out of the bedroom, there are sound machines that are not linked to your phone. They're cheap, buy it, find a sound that is consistent, that is going to help you drown out. Wear earplugs, whatever it is, because all of these practical aspects of your environment in your bedroom are going to impact quality and quantity of sleep. And these are cheap solutions. Doesn't cost a lot. And the final item on the checklist is, don't have your bedroom be a place of work. And I know I've been I've changed, but it used to be my bed or next to my bed was just loaded with files I was working on. And I did a purging of my bedroom so that when I walk into it, it's clean, it's neat. I have a few books that are nighttime reading if I want to read something, but it's not thrillers, it's not the TV. So do your checklist of the practical, and you will see results, as hard as it might be to turn the TV off. It was for me. But the other checklist has to do with the mental, emotional, spiritual aspect of our life. And that is as important as the practical aspects.
You know, when we take a look at what we do in our bedrooms, temperature, light, sound, bedding, there's a very biblical point that you make in your book that I want to make sure that we don't miss when we talk about the practicalities of sleep, is that this is where God met Joseph. This is where God met Pharaoh. This is where God met Abimelech. This is where God met Daniel. This is where God met so many people in the Bible, and that changed the course of biblical history because of it. Had Pharaoh had relations with Sarah, there would be no Isaac. Had Abimelech had relations with Sarah, there would be no Isaac. There would be no Jesus. There would be none of what we have today had God not spoken to these individuals, believers and non-believers. God is using dreams to reach Muslims in Muslim nations where there is no Bible, where they pray 5 times a day, where they are Quran readers, more so than we have Bible readers in America. There are more Muslim Quran readers than there are Bible readers in America. I hate to break the news to you, but our literacy rate, and biblical literacy rate, is illiteracy rates in the 80s. People in Islamic nations read the Quran. They are much more faithful to their faith than many of us are to our own, and that is quite scary to me, that they know what their teachings are where we don't. We just take it from somebody on Sunday. But my point is that there are benefits and there are blessings and there are revelations and there are things that God is trying to show us, and He says, be still and know that I am God. Now, I can sit in this chair in this studio and I can be still for 3 or 4 hours, and I can have my hands folded and wait for God to speak to me and have complete and total silence. It's a soundproof room. It is completely shut off from the world. We hear absolutely nothing outside of this environment. It is completely 100% soundproof. So I can turn off all the lights. It is 100% dark. It is 100% quiet. It is a complete place of solace and rest. And I can sit here for 4 hours and not hear a thing. But I can lay my head on the pillow and I can go to sleep, and there are adventures waiting for me. There are messages waiting for me. And we cut off one of the ways that God speaks to us when we limit our sleep, especially our REM sleep, which is the important part of our sleep patterns. So I don't want to take us too far away from this very important message that sleep is the gateway. All right, imagine unconscious for 8 hours, meaning you have no control whatsoever. Your body is functioning on autopilot because God is He is there in the pilot's seat running things, and He is speaking into you. And if you eliminate some of these external influences, then the only influence welcomed into that sacred space, that place dedicated to the Lord, that anointing oil, and I use an aromatherapy pot in my bedroom that gives out frankincense and myrrh. To me, it is not only as an antibiotic, It is antiseptic. It cleans the air. There's no bacteria in the air because of this natural product. It's also very biblical. It's a smell to me of the Holy of Holies. So when you walk into my bedroom, you smell, Frank, and so I sleep with a humidifier because I don't want dry sinuses, and heat can dry you out. There's a lot of reasons for it, but I created this environment. And God speaks to me, and it comes out in messages. It comes out in teachings. It comes out in discussions. And it's the place where God has set it up that 1/3 of your life is a place where He knows where you'll be and what you're doing and how to reach you, and that's through sleep.
And I think when we apply that reality and that desire that God has to communicate with us, and we apply that to our children, I mean, how wonderful if your child was trained to have an expectation that when they go to sleep, they're not going to be encountering monsters and demons and all sorts of alien creatures, that they are going to have an encounter and spend the night with God and with the angelic. I mean, we as the parents need to set the stage for our children and not rob them of these encounters, which can be life-changing. I mean, when you think about what if your child had a dream about their destiny and the call of God that God wanted them to fulfill, and they had that at age 10, how different their life might be if they shared that with you, the parent, and then you could help them steward that and get almost in training for the destiny that God revealed to them when they were 10. So this being robbed, and this is one of the things that I think is most important, because you know, nightmares, night terrors, the word nightmare means night demon. And that was not God's intention. I mean, some child psychologists, some of the research I did for the book, this was just tragic to me, because the idea that was being put forth by some of these child psychologists was, don't worry if your child has nightmares, they will grow out of it. Now, what kind of a God would it be to create child development in a way that a child has to suffer with nightmares, but then they'll mature and they'll grow out of it? That's just unacceptable. And so if we realize the doorway to nightmares, that we can shut the door to the nightmares. And one of the ways is through forgiveness, because in Ephesians, Paul says, don't go to bed angry, because you give a foothold to the devil. You open the door. Your anger puts a spotlight up into the heavens that says, not calling all angels, but calling all demons. And this is true for your children as well as for you. And kids need to learn how to forgive at a very young age. They're in school, things happen, somebody teases them, they get bullied, they don't get picked, and they have an anger. And we as parents need, at a very early age, need to teach children and say, honey, what happened today? Is there anybody you need to forgive? And to lead them in this process of daily forgiveness, so that when they put their head down on the pillow, they're not going to be tormented with nightmares. So I have this phrase, it's called brush and flush. And when you're in the bathroom, when your kids are in the bathroom and they're, brushing their teeth, most of us stand in front of a mirror, and we're just, the brushing, whether it's electric toothbrush or manual, whatever, and we're just there. Well, when you're there looking in that mirror, just ask God, is there anybody I need to forgive? And He'll say yes, and you say who, and he'll remind you. And sometimes we have to forgive ourselves. And so I say, okay, God, I forgive so-and-so, 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 and myself. And then as you finish this forgiving exercise, just flush the toilet, just push that lever. And it's kind of like removing all the stuff from the day that could be the bait for the enemy to come and torment you or your children.
Well, you make a great deal of sense. It's also the time in which we can have our conversation with God, to let him know, to place our troubles upon his shoulders and say, Lord, before I go to sleep, let me tell you the things that have been bothering me, not just the things where I have unforgiveness, but things I'm worried about. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. I'm fearful about it. I have some test results, some lab work that's taking a long time and getting back. I'm concerned about it. I don't like what's going on with my relationship with my daughter. I'm concerned about it. Lord, if there's anything that you want to speak to me in my dreams, I want to invite you. I want to welcome you. I want to extend this invitation to you. I want to open my arms, my heart, my mind to you to come in to my sleep. I want to bind the enemy from my sleep. This is kind of a setting for a little bit of in the ring, a little bit of spiritual warfare, but not to the point of getting all worked up into a lather, but a very simple, and also to make you aware, to request that God reveal things to you about your own self, about your own relationships, about a situation. I know that I've awakened sometimes with the recollection, a remembrance of something I might have said a week before, that maybe it wasn't received in the right tone. And when I see that person again, I just want to give them a word of reassurance. That's the Holy Spirit working in you and through you, and it's something you should invite. Conviction, not condemnation, but invitation, not the fact that I want to go into this place where I am completely comatose. I don't want to be comatose when I sleep. I want to be actively engaged with the Lord while I sleep, not in a coma.
Yes. And, you know, there was a study done by a Harvard professor, not a believer, and yet she understood this world of dreams. She didn't understand it from the biblical perspective, but she did a study, and she had a control group of students, and they just went to bed. And they were all people who were working on a project, and they needed an answer, a solution. Then another part of the group of students, she instructed them that as they were drifting off to sleep, that they ask the question, ask for a solution to this problem. Now, I don't know who they were asking, because, you know, she wasn't directing them to ask God. Maybe it's just the Great Spirit or whatever. But the interesting thing was that the students that went to bed asking a question, a significant majority of them woke up with an answer, with a solution. And the ones that went to sleep without asking the question woke up and still had a problem. Now, if this is happening with people who aren't even connected to God or directing their question to God, how much more for us? I mean, it really is exciting to think that we can co-labor and collaborate with God in our sleep, and we can brainstorm in the Spirit over projects that we are working on, and at our job, with our finances, our investments, our own creative projects. That 8 hours of brainstorming and problem solving with the God of the universe, our Creator Father. I mean, I get excited. So going to bed with a question, deal with all the emotional stuff, deal with all of that before you go to sleep, so that when you actually fall asleep, you've got an open, free, emotional landscape, mental, spiritual, to be productive with God at night.
Well, this is a beautiful picture of a 2019 New Year sleep reset, what you can do on your own to change your priorities and make sleep a priority in this coming year. You can take the past of 2018, put it behind you, give it over to God as you would put your head on your pillow tonight. Have Him leave the old behind and bring forth the new. God says, behold, I make all things brand new, so you can wake up as a new creation. He's got a plan for you, and that plan involves a plan for sleep, where dreams and revelation can be given to you the same as they were to all of the very common characters, even to two non-believers, to Pharaoh and Abimelech. He met them in their sleep and gave them revelation. If He can give it to the non-believer, just think about you, the believer, or those of you who are wondering, can this God even speak to me, an unbeliever? He did it for Pharaoh, He did it for Abimelech, and He can do it for you. Faith Blatchford, host of The Sleep Project, Better Nights for Better Days, on the last Monday of every month at 12 o'clock p.m. Get her book. Visit her at faithblatchford.com. Faith, such a pleasure and joy to be with you. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, Eric, and to you.
Thank you. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll bring you the next edition of Revealing the Truth.